There is a
So there's another part of the question that in terms of the effect of this waste management cost to the other industry, other part of the economy.
I think immeasurable, negligible. I can't measure it up. I have no statistics to help you measure that.
Do you have any example of a government or economy that a higher waste management fee or waste treatment fee actually improve the overall country's economy performance or competency?
Well, I see it the other way around. I have a chart on my PowerPoint presentations, which I will show you tomorrow if you come to the meeting, and it shows the inverse of what you're saying. The higher the GDP per capita, the lower landfill is. The lower the GDP per capita, the higher landfill is. So, to answer your question, that would indicate, wouldn't it, that because we have less landfill, we have more recycling, we have more energy recovery, we're richer. But is it really that? Or is it that because we're richer, we can afford to do more recycling, we can afford to do more incineration and energy recovery because we can pay for it. But the guys over there in Bulgaria and Romania, or in Serbia or wherever, can't afford to pay for it, so everything goes to a landfill. So I think you're framing the question in a way which I can't answer it. But I think that the answer is that as we get wealthier, so we get more concerned about our health, we get more concerned about our environment, we can afford to invest to protect it more. Okay? So that's all part of competitivity, because that's all part of where people want to live. That's all part of making cities great places to be in, because they're clean. The question of cross-border movement of waste, the barriers to imports of, for example, solid recovered fuels is a really interesting one. And I think that it's something which, as an international association, is very, very difficult to handle because there are so many specific domestic situations. One country that I know very well, they import a lot of shredded tyres for their cement kilns, but they cannot import RDF. They're not allowed to, because it's regarded as a waste, whereas tyres are regarded as a fuel. Now that's something which is very difficult for an international association to intervene on, because that's a national question, that's a national policy which the national association has to work on to change. I think that we've come from a situation of the last 30, 40 years where we have terrible, terrible examples of cross-border movements of waste which have been illegal dumping. Of course, everyone's scared of this. Politicians have nightmares about this, either because they're shipping something which is illegal to somebody else, or because their country is receiving it. You lose elections because of this. Okay, so you have to be very careful about how you handle it. Now perhaps we're in a situation today where we can say that there are possibilities of bringing, for example, solid recovered fuels from countries that produce it, that don't need it, to countries that do need it. There's still a very strict licensing process for all that and such like, but that's understandable. But I think that experience will show that that is environmentally a sound way to go, financially a sound way to go, and perhaps in time it will become easier to do.
We are coming to 12 o'clock. So can I just ask about one more last burning question that any one of you have? Dai, you must ask that question, it's not to David or to Melissa. Okay, please. Mike?
Thank you. David Huber, Global AFR consultant working in the ASEAN countries. This is an open question, really. You've talked very much about what Singapore can learn from the rest of the world. I wonder, really, what could the regional ASEAN countries learn from Singapore?
Singapore is a brand. We are number one. And everybody is dying to learn from us. Even though we are not the super, not a subject experts in waste per se as compared to Europe, but we are so much better than our neighboring countries. So rightfully, they should come over to learn from us. We have a proper infrastructure. in terms of municipal waste collection, in terms of commercial waste collection, in terms of how we transport the waste from one location to another location for disposal, to incineration plant, to landfill. We do so much better than them, so they should learn from us. Thank you.
Yeah, David, I think it's a good question. I think that, of course, Singapore is a geographical mistake, isn't it? It's here in Asia, but really, actually, it's a Western European or a North American country. You know, it's really one of the most advanced countries and one of the wealthiest countries in the world. And compliments to everything that has been done here. Happy birthday, Singapore. But I think that Melissa is right. There is so much that Singapore can teach. But so much of what Singapore has done, it is done because it has had to do, because of its space restriction and its resource restriction that other countries don't have. And sometimes you can go from here and in an hour's time, you can be in Kuala Lumpur or you can be in Jakarta, and you think, well, why don't they do it like they do it in Singapore? Well, you know, the reason is that because behind they have thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands of square miles where they can just take the stuff and dump it. They don't give a damn. And it's the cheapest way to do it. Okay? So it's very difficult, therefore, for people to come to Singapore, see the model, and then transpose that model onto their economies and their societies in the neighboring countries. Can you imagine, you know, Vietnam?
They're running very fast.
Yeah, they're running really fast. But could you imagine Vietnam saying, okay, tomorrow you're going to introduce a tipping fee, what is it, $65 a ton? $77 a ton. They're going to go to get on the next plane and get out of here. You know. So it's very difficult to transpose those models.
So we have many foreign visitors coming to Singapore. We have China people coming over, we have the Indian people coming over, and again, all of them say that they want to learn from Singapore. And with so many years of that kind of foreign exchanges with them, I always tell them that, many of these people have traveled around the world. They have seen Europe, they have seen America, they have seen Japan. They exactly know what to do. In fact, what Singapore is doing, and it's also no secret. We started from infrastructure, we have education, we have treaty partnerships, we leverage on technology. But I think most important part in the Singapore model is actually about the governance. And I personally believe that Singapore governance plays the most critical role in how to tie all this together and make it work. It's really not what technology to apply, it's really not a process to adopt, right? And it's some fundamental issues about whether to recycle or recycle. Once the decision is made, we have legislation and we make sure all these are done. And many countries I see, especially in China, we also have worked in China, that even legislations are there, they can't implement it. So there are other issues. There are other issues more complex than just environmental management. So this is something that we always tell our foreign participants in our programs that we run. Hopefully, yeah, it's very important. I guess Europe also have a better governance whereby they can force through the directives. Just imagine that they have all the directives and nobody follow, and they have no way to bike if there's nobody who can follow. All right, we come to the end of this professional sharing series. But before I wrap up the whole sessions, I would like to ask last questions to both panelists. If there's only one takeaway point you want the audience to have today, what would that point be from David and from Melissa, please?